Hey, fifth grade, it's Miss Wright, and welcome back to our lesson on shelter design for natural disasters. I had a blast with you guys on our Zoom call on Monday and was really impressed with the practice drawings of your shelters that you guys made in just a short amount of time. So I know that as you guys begin your final design, they are going to look even better because if you're doing that well at first, I know they will look awesome on your final. All right, so our guiding question is still the same. It is, how do natural disasters influence shelter design? I'll say it again. How do natural disasters, things like tornadoes, hurricanes, influence shelter design? Remember that word influence that we talked about yesterday? It means affect. So, like we were saying, if you live in an area with tornadoes, you want to make your shelter resistant or strong enough for all of that wind, right? So maybe an underground shelter. Okay, our learning target today is a little bit different. It is, I can create my final drawing of a natural disaster shelter. So you've already practiced. We've gone in depth over each of the natural disasters, and now it's your time to put all that knowledge and practice into a final artwork. This design is going to be your own. So in this video that I'm going to be showing you how to think about each shelter and how you could draw it, but just remember that I do not want you to copy mine exactly. You can take bits and pieces and things that you like, but I want your drawings to look different from mine, to look different from each other's, because then you're really thinking deeply, how could I stay safe in a shelter and what do I need it to have? Okay, so I have created all 5 kind of different sketches for each of our disasters, and we're going to just go through them together. If you are watching this video and you do have pencil and paper with you, you can kind of just practice draw along with me. If you don't, you can also just sit here and watch and try to think about what you could have in your final artwork after all the videos are done. So you can draw with me to kind of practice with me, or you can just kind of watch and listen and then work on it later. All right, so let's start with the first one, and that's the tornado, right? So let's think about what kind of dangers it has. It has strong winds, it can tear off roofs, it can tear off pavement. A shelter for a tornado should really be resisting the wind, right? So we're going to maybe make it underground. And all I have is paper, my pencil, an eraser, and a Sharpie. You will need these things, these 4 things, for your final artwork. But what I'm going to be doing right now is mostly just kind of showing you. It's not supposed to be like a final artwork. It's just to help you guys out. Okay, so I'm going to, since I want my tornado shelter to be underground, I kind of want to show the ground itself. So with my pencil, I'm just going to make a little wiggly line from the left to right to show that that's the top of the ground. Maybe make it double so it doesn't look so paper thin. And I think of like plains, so I'm going to just do some soft hills, like those plains or fields out in the Midwest often have tornadoes. All right, so here's my ground, and I maybe want to draw a latch, maybe a handle, and some stairs stepping down into my shelter. I'm going to draw a rectangle here, and this is going to be my shelter. And I want some more steps going down. But before I draw those, I'm going to go ahead and just give it some really thick walls, because these thick walls will serve as a protection. All right, I'm drawing those parallel lines. Now we can add our stairs that get us all the way down here. All right, so obviously not everyone has an underground shelter to stay under. So a lot of people like to hide under, not like to, but it's a good idea to hide under a thick table if you aren't in an underground shelter with a tornado. So you can draw a horizontal line, rectangle, 2 legs, and you can make a table. On my example, I drew some blankets hanging on the wall because often that's a really safe thing to hide underneath. So if you want to draw blankets, you can kind of draw little hooks and the fabric going up and around the hook, and then maybe wavy on the bottom. Some lines for the fabric texture, up and around, wavy on the bottom, texture, right? And maybe you even want to give a little bit more detail, add a first aid kit with one of those Red Cross crosses to know that that's where you can find safe things. All right, because this is underground, I'm going to give another wall right here so it doesn't look like the steps are just going into dirt. Some little bolts on the end and some little dots and teeny tiny little triangles that help us know that this is underground. So this is supposed to represent dirt, and I'm just putting those around. All right, this is one way to draw it, and maybe you can find some ideas from this. Oh, and I'm going to just draw one more thing so we really know this is a tornado. All I did was just some little twirly lines into a little point to see a tornado. All right. Make sure as you are making your final that you write your name and the date, and go ahead and write the name of your natural disaster on it. Okay, tornado, check. I'm not going to outline that until the very last one, so we're just going on. All right, what is next? The next one is the earthquake. Remember we said earthquakes can shake the ground, so we really want a deep foundation, and we do not want our building to break in half, right? We want it to be able to be flexible, and that's why we said using bamboo is a good idea for your structure. All right, so I'm going to teach you guys how to draw bamboo and how to add some deep foundations. Remember, this is only one way that you could draw your earthquake shelter. It does not have to be like this. I'm just doing a peak roof like that. And then, instead of making these thick block walls like we did for the tornado, I'm going to make them thinner, so they're about the distance or width of bamboo. And I'm going to add one going across, and I'm going to bring 2 more right here. And right now this shelter is just sitting on top of the ground. We have to sink it in deep so it's nice and sturdy, but it can kind of sway in the wind on the top. So just like we did the tornado, we're showing some of our shelter design underground. So if you show anything underground, add some little dots, some teeny tiny triangles, and then you can tell that that is supposed to be underground, not another part of the ground, up, above. Okay, all right. I'm going to add some trapezoids. That's a line that goes horizontally, diagonal, and connects at the bottom. And these are kind of like blocks that the foundation is sitting on, making it nice and secure, right? To keep safe during those winds. All right, just add a few more lines. You see how this looks like the shape of an X? That's really nice and strong in wind, so let's add some X shapes on our structure. All right, now to actually make it look like bamboo. Have you ever seen bamboo in real life? Well, if you have, you've probably noticed that there are some little lines like every foot up the bamboo. So bamboo, if you didn't actually know this, is actually a species or a type of grass. So think of the grass that might be in your front yard. Bamboo is actually a grass. It's just a really, really thick grass, right? It grows around Greenville too. So we are just drawing little curved lines. Notice I'm not drawing straight lines. I'm drawing curved lines because bamboo is flat. Nope, bamboo is round. So by drawing curved lines, I'm making my lines, my bamboo, actually look curved, right? If I just draw it straight, they're not going to look as 3D, and I want mine to look 3D. Okay, that's generally an idea. It's not completely finished, but maybe you want to add a table inside. Again, something you can hide underneath from an earthquake. I drew some little blankets on top, like that. Things you could hide underneath, maybe a pillow. Okay, and if you want to get really fancy, you can even draw some cracks in the ground, in the background. And I just drew something that kind of looks like a lightning bolt, like that. Bring it up, and like that. And then you can erase this part so it looks like the ground is cracking, right? And then maybe draw a line here, here, and here, and then the ground really looks like it's cracking, okay? All right, so that is the earthquake shelter. Let's move on. All right, volcano. Volcano, here's my example. I think for the volcano, it's important to actually include a picture of a volcano. So not everything else needs to really have like the picture of the natural disaster itself, but if yours is a volcano, seeing that mound in the background will really help pull your shelter together so we know exactly what you're trying to protect yourself from. Okay, so I am going to just start by drawing the volcano. I'm going to bring my line right here. I'm going to bring it up. Volcanoes don't really go to a peak like a mountain. They kind of just like get flat at the top before going back down. So it's not really super sharp. We're going to bring it down. Make sure your line wiggles a little bit so it looks like real ground, right? And then let's draw some lava spurting out. So with my line, I'm going to draw right here and like a teardrop shape, round it at the end and bring it back. Round it at the end, bring it back. Round it, bring it back. Okay, then I'm going to draw some oozing lava. That's these kind of curved lines. They look like drips of paint. I'm going to layer them. There's really no right or wrong way. Maybe add some lines here to make them look a little more 3D. Okay, keep layering. All right, before I get too far down, I want to start drawing my shelter. Okay, we talked about volcanoes emitting a lot of ash. So you don't want that ash to settle on top of your roof or else it will cave. You want it to go right off the roof. So right ahead, I already know I want a shelter with a really steep roof. All right, I'm going to draw this at like a angle. So like on this one, we were seeing it straight on. But on the volcano house or volcano shelter, I want to see it at an angle. So when you're drawing things at an angle, start with a rectangle, and then instead of just drawing a house like that, take your line at both of these ends and send them up. See how they are going diagonal? They're not going over, they're going diagonally up. Right here, diagonal. Then use a line that is not angled like that. Make it vertical. Make it vertical from this point to connect. And all of a sudden, it's already looking a little bit like a box. All right, we want a steep roof. I'm going to draw a triangle here and here. This is going to be the end of my roof. Angling up, connect this line to this line. And all of a sudden, I have a really steep roof. Okay, rectangle, angle up, vertical line, triangle, and then connect them. Okay? I want to show that my volcano shelter is really thick. So kind of like the tornado room, I'm just going to add some kind of thick lines on the tops, on the bottom, just so we know that this shelter is going to be hard to get inside, right? We don't want the volcano or the ash getting inside. I'm going to draw windows so that I can shutter them off. So I just drew rectangle, line in between. Shutters are kind of those things that block your window. They kind of have these line textures. Kind of looks like a book. And like that. Maybe right here, one window. Boop, boop. Okay, and right now the roof is a little bit boring. Let's make it look like one of those metal roofs. So let's add some lines that are just parallel with the roof line, going vertical. Remember, this is what I'm doing, and you might have a different idea, okay? All right, it looks like we're almost done. Right now my house looks like it's floating a little bit, so I'm going to take my line, start at the edge, bring it right here. I stop when I reach here, I jump, and I continue. And that's how we make that house look overlapping. Draw a line, stop, jump, and continue on the other side. So it looks like the house is in front. Okay? I'm going to, last but not least, just draw little teeny dots, and these are going to represent the ash that is floating in the sky. And you can kind of do it all over, right? All right, that's the volcano. And looks like we have just two more. All right, so this one is the tsunami. Tsunami is pretty much, to me, it feels like an easy one because you have to be up off the ground so the water can flow underneath. And that's really the main thing about it, right? The rest is just fun background details. So I'm going to go ahead and just draw my simple building. I'm going to do it at an angle, not straight on. So let's practice that again. Drawing a rectangle. And this way I'm going to send it up, up. Remember, use a vertical line. Connect here and here. All right, let's make that roof. It doesn't need to be as steep as the volcano one. Send it back, and here we are. All right, this is a little bit smaller than that one. Doesn't matter. Okay, so I really want the tsunami shelter to have deep foundations. We're not going to show underneath the ground because the ground is flooded. So I'm just going to draw some some thick poles kind of at each corner. And then I will later draw water that goes right up to them. I might want to erase the line that overlaps here so that these look nice and thick. I can imagine that the back corner is back here, so I'm going to draw one right there. All right. I'm going to round them on the end instead of making them flat. Round them, curved line right there. You need to get up, so you need a door with a handle. You need a ladder. Make the ladder double. Okay. And let's draw some roof texture, like that metal roof. Okay, and do you guys remember making the curved lines on the bamboo? Well, you can do that right here too. We're not drawing bamboo, we're just drawing kind of big poles, but you can still use curved lines to show that it's not flat, but rounded. Almost like a log cabin, right? If you've ever seen a log cabin, they have like rounded tree poles that make up the cabin. Okay, so now we're ready for the background. I'm just going to send my line here. Remember, I stop, I jump over, continue it on, and I want to draw a big wave coming in so we know exactly what this is, a tsunami. All right, to draw the wave, go to the end or the edge of your paper, bring it up, curve it, and then we want to make a couple curvy lines here, kind of like this, kind of like paint. All right, add a few more. You're done. That's a giant wave coming in the background. Okay. Now let's draw some. Let's draw our palm trees a little bit. Okay. I want this to look like it's in the distance, a little bit farther away. So instead of drawing a palm tree that's just as big as this shelter, excuse me, I want to draw it smaller so it looks like it's farther away. That's one of the tricks that you can use in art if you want things to look far away, is just draw them smaller. Okay, I'm drawing a trunk. And to draw a palm tree, I like to send lines off to the side. Kind of looks crazy right now, but all I need is some wiggly zigzag lines for the palm fronds, just like that. There's no right or wrong. Okay, let's make the palm tree right here a little bit bigger. And I'm not showing the full palm tree because it's kind of half underwater, right? All right, zigzag on those lines. Okay, there we have our palm tree. All right, now all we need is some water lines so we can tell that this has flooded. Water lines are just bumpy lines. Some can be long, some can be short, a little bit smaller in the background, a little bit bigger in the foreground. I like to make the water lines near the poles in the palm tree. And there we have it. Maybe you want some mountains in the background. That's just kind of some big zigzag lines, right? All right, there we have it. That's the tsunami. Make sure it is on stilts or it has water underneath, right? Or is able to get underneath. All right, now we're on the last one, which is the hurricane. Okay, or the hurricane shelter. This is the design that I came up with that we talked about, but you can make a different one. But I'm going to show you how to do this one first. All right, so this kind of looks like an octagon, like a stop sign that you might see on the road. But to draw it, I first wanted to draw some ovals. So I'm not going to draw a teeny tiny oval like that. I want to draw, can't even see it. There you go. I really want to draw an oval. It's about the size of my hand. So this is going to become the shelter. All right, here I have one oval. On either end of the oval, I'm going to bring lines that go vertically down. Almost looks like the top of a cup or a cake, like that. All right, I'm going to draw a curved line from here to here. Not a straight line, not a straight line, a curved line. It almost looks like a tin can or something. Now I want to draw vertical lines here and here. And if I can keep it round actually, but if I want it to be more straight, I can even just add in those angles and erase the curved part that I've already drawn. All right, and how do we make the roof? We make the roof by sending a line from here to here and here to here. See this curved line back here? We don't need it anymore. Don't need it because you wouldn't see that part. Then from here to the peak, I'm just sending some lines. And there we go. Oh, now it looks kind of like a circus tent. Okay? Oh, one line here, here, and here. And erase the curved part. So, not bad. Not too, it's a little bit tricky, but if you practice, you can do it. And I want it high off the ground. I don't want this sitting on the ground. I want this high off the ground. So a little bit underneath this, I'm going to draw lines that angle in. And we're almost going to draw something that looks like the shape of a letter Y. Vertical line, here to here, curve it on the bottom. And now it looks like it's kind of up off the ground. All right, so that doesn't make it look like a circus tent, on a pedestal, we're going to add some windows. And the windows are really important when you are drawing a hurricane shelter because you want to show that they have shutters on them, just like the volcano shelter. Without shutters, windows on a hurricane house could shatter and get glass everywhere and be really dangerous. So you want to block them off with shutters. Okay? All right, if you're drawing windows on the side, make sure it angles up, up, vertical. Okay? All right, now just for background detail. All right, so I kind of drew a thunderstorm in the background because that's kind of what a hurricane is, and I drew this fence going around. Notice when I drew my line right here, I stopped, I jumped, and I continued it over here. You can make a fancy curved fence, or you can make a straight fence like this. Draw a line here, here. All right, I stop, I jump, and I continue on. Stop, jump, continue on. And now let's just make it double so it looks nice and thick. And this is kind of like a barrier wall, a thick wall that could protect your shelter from any flooding or strong winds that are coming in. So they might be coming in this way, right? Okay, so we're using something called overlapping, making the shelter look like it's in front of the fence. Okay, let's make the shelter look like it is in front of the ocean. I drew the ocean far away because hopefully your shelter is not right on the ocean where it could get really bashed with all the hurricane winds. Okay, so I want to draw a horizon line. That's a line that's flat as can be. If you've ever been to the ocean and you've looked straight out, you will see this line going straight across the sky. And that is where the sky meets the ocean. It's flat. It doesn't have those little water curvy lines. It's flat. We will add the curvy little water lines right underneath it. And we might want to draw a curvy line maybe for like the sand dunes or the beach part. So this is the beach part and that's the water, the ocean part. Okay? And I might want to draw some clouds. Send them off your paper. Texture inside. You can even make them rain clouds. It will look really strong. Look like it's really raining strong if you just draw vertical lines, not vertical lines, diagonal lines right underneath your rain clouds. And you draw a lot together, right? Like almost like a barcode, but they're angling. Make sure they're all angling the same way. And this looks like heavy, heavy, heavy rain, like tropical storm rain, like a hurricane, right? Okay, and just some dots for sand, right? And maybe some little grasses. Okay? All right, y'all. So that is everything as far as drawing. These are all my ideas that I'm going to share with you. And after you create your final sketch in pencil, then you want to grab a Sharpie or a black marker will do too, and put the cap on the end and simply just start going over every single one of your pencil lines. You never want to start your final with Sharpie because you may make a mistake that you want to erase, but after it gets to the place that you want it, then you can start outlining. And the purpose of outlining is just to make our drawing pop. When you get to small parts, you can always make your marker kind of vertical so it doesn't just cover up everything you just took so much time to draw, right? And go right over your pencil lines. All right, we're going to pretend that I have just outlined everything right here. And I am completely done. I put my cap on my marker, set it off to the side. I want to grab an eraser because I have already outlined everything, and I'm going to erase all of the pencil lines that I still see. Sometimes when we're outlining, we go a little bit off our pencil line. That's not a bad thing. We're just outlining. And we don't want to see those pencil lines anymore because we don't need them, right? So you want to erase it. So when I made this one, I first drew it in pencil, and I took my eraser, and I just erased the entire sheet. And that really is your final step. All right? Okay, guys, so you are going to create one final disaster shelter drawing. Remember, you should go back to those slides so you can kind of like jog your memory. All right, what do I need to be protecting it from? What kind of things will help the shelter protect itself from the disaster, right? If you are making a tsunami shelter, then maybe it should be up on stilts like this one. If you are making a earthquake shelter, it should be flexible to move, so however you want to draw that. Or tornado one should have thick walls or be underground. And that's it, y'all. You guys are going to do a great job. After you finish your final artwork, I want you to snap a clear photo of it, and you can email that to Miss Sawyer. So you can email that to her so she can see it. Okay, guys. So as you guys are wrapping it up and you are working on your final artwork, just think back to that guiding question. How do natural disasters influence shelter design? And think about how you could share with a friend or with a parent how your design is affected or influenced by your tornado or by your hurricane. Why have you drawn it the way you draw it based on your natural disaster? Okay, guys, I can't wait to see your artwork, and good luck!